Welcome to Leaders and Learners. My name is Tanya McKenzie, and you can find me at the intersection of public relations and leadership. Join us as we talk to organizational leaders, elected officials, experts, authors, artists, and personalities, sharing their stories, talking about how they got to where they are and how they continue to learn and lead the way. So without further ado, let's get into it. Greetings, good people. Welcome to the South Bay edition of Leaders and Learners, where we all know that the best leaders, which we have in our community, are also lifetime learners. Today, we have the opportunity to take a deep dive into what everybody has been so very concerned about lately in Redondo Beach, and that is our fire department. There was some decisions made, but there's still some loose ends and definitely a conversation to be had about how we move forward. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Paul, and we go.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We do not have a guest today. It's just the three of us. We're going to talk about, yes, the fire department and the big triumph that the community had when keeping our fire department local. The council took 6 years and a lot of consternation in the community to make this happen. So we feel it's appropriate for us to talk about it now again and have some takeaways for the community to learn from this moment, because it's a big change. It's a big show of the power of the people. And we just want to make sure that everybody's got a real clear understanding of what happened and how we can prevent it in the future.
So the cool thing is, and there's our girl Miriam, the cool thing is, you know, you guys don't always have to go to the city council meetings and miss time with your family and miss time with other things that you enjoy doing, because we do it for you. And Miriam was kind enough to point out some of the most important aspects of the meeting that we think that the public should be aware of and understand. So I'm going to go ahead and get started really quick. I'm going to show these first two videos of the gentleman from the fire. Was he from the fire department, the county fire department, and I guess the agency that helped put together the study?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Let's go ahead and bring them. Watch now.
April 16th meeting, Citygate and Associates gave a presentation. Since that time, their PowerPoint has been uploaded onto the city's website. And today we're also joined by executive team from Los Angeles County Fire Department, who are also here to answer questions. So I don't know how much role I have as much in this as more of a facilitated discussion, and I'm glad to answer questions as well.
Okay, sorry, I'm switching from the presentation mode. I have nobody from the council wants to. Okay, Councilmember Abaji.
Sure. Sorry, who's the representative from the county?
We have Chief John O'Brien. He's the chief deputy with his staff from the executive office.
Thank you for being here, Chief O'Brien. Quick question for you.
Come on up.
This process got started before I got on council, and it never came to phase 2, but has the quotes that the county has given for fire service, have they changed over the years? Because my understanding from a county firefighter that I spoke with in response to our Citygate study was that the fire department, the county fire department, used to give quotes that kind of like, you know, lured cities in, and then they'd have to change the rates later on. And now they're being a little more candid and upfront with the heavy costs associated with bringing the county fire department in. So has that changed at all?
So, I mean, to be transparent, this process started back in 2018 when your council at that point came to the county and asked the county if they'd come in and give a cost estimate of what it would look like to go to county fire service. An initial estimate was provided, and to your point, council member, at the time, the prior administration had been using a cost share formula, and that cost share formula looked at what are known as ins and outs and factored in the amount of time that your resource from the city of Redondo Beach would go out into an adjacent city served by the district. However, what was never factored in were the ins of the county resources coming from the other areas into those cities. And so the formula was changed, and so the formula is just a pretty straightforward formula now, representing the level of apparatus that are assigned to the city is what the city will be billed for. I believe when I was here in February, I kind of mentioned it as a a la carte service. You tell us what you want in each of your fire stations, we'll give you what that pricing is.
So it was pretty interesting that the fire chief from the county finally showed up. Through this entire process over the last 6 years or since 2018. The county representatives never showed up. They had been invited repeatedly, but I think they've learned that sometimes this can be a real, beehive to jump into, because the way communities like their local fire departments are the reasons why things might be switched. As you could see that you start dealing with these big agencies and switching these things, it's a complicated issue. And it was interesting that the councilman, basically asked the county fire chief did you guys lie when you told us these numbers? It's just not that, that's the thing. You can't really boil it down to one number. It's this big comprehensive study that was done. And it really did shine a light on like all the shortcomings of going to county. They really did show up. But we knew that 6 years ago. We knew that with the first phase of the study. It never needed to go to phase 2.
Here's my takeaway. It's interesting that Obagi would talk about all these things that he's learned, because he was putting himself in the middle of this before he was even on council and had a clear understanding about any of these things. He wasn't even a full resident when he was sticking his nose in this and looking to get rid of John Grand, who was trying to make responsible decisions for the city. So I'm just concerned as to how someone that wasn't even in the city, that was not a part of the council, was trying to make decisions and oust people that were well studied on things of this nature. And I just hope that our residents recognize moving forward that you can't just put your faith in someone that's barking loud when they don't even know what they're talking about. Miriam?
Correct. Yeah, because what you're referring to is when Mr. Olbaji, prior to him, John Grand was still our council person. And then in 2020, I have here, January 6, 2020, Mr. Olbaji, along with the firefighters pack, it says Redondo Beach Firefighters Pack, they, basically worked together to, fund and work together to try to basically oust John Grand. It didn't work, but then when Mr. Olbaji ran against him, now we have him as our council person.
Yeah,
this
is a good lesson for our fire safety, our safety professionals in Redondo. They really ought to stay out of elections. Every time they get involved in these things, it blows up their face. It's not very fruitful for them to get involved, because they really don't know what the candidate's going to do after they get into office. And as they've seen, I don't know if the fire department was really happy with the way things unfolded. And again, if we had concentrated more on taking care of the fire department 6 years ago and not all this nonsense with going to county, I think we all would have been better served.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the truth is that we just don't have the funding to do anything, right? The firefighters have demonstrated that they've been needing an update of their facilities. I mean, it sounds like for decades now. This isn't anything new. And they would hire, they would wage increases and different things like that. And one of the things I mentioned when I went and spoke before council was, any city worker, I'm not just talking about firefighters, but
Hold that thought, because we're going to show your video. One second. Let's get into this one. Let's get into the next one.
Okay. How much we more willing to add to our fire department budget to fix these issues, these structural issues that haven't been addressed for so many years. And whether that's in a bond you're willing to pay out of your property taxes, whether that's a sales tax increase, or whether that's a bond we pay out of our general fund. So I will send that over to you, Ms. Manzano. Madam Clerk, I have no...
Okay, hold that thought. I got another one for you. When Vicky spoke and Nils continued to talk, and then we can debrief on that, because it makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
What?
Hi, my name is Vicki Etzel. I'm from District 3. Thank you for having me up here tonight. I think there's no doubt what I want. I appreciate all your information that you have given us, but I would like to keep Redondo Beach Fire Department and not go to county. That's it.
Are you willing to pay? How much are you willing to pay to fix all of this moving forward?
No, we're not going to do that.
Not going to ask everyone that?
No.
All right.
No. Hey.
Okay. So first and foremost, that's a Brown Act violation by Mr. Narenheim. You're not on trial on there. They're not judges, and it's your time to speak to the council and address them and ask your questions. So as the mayor pointed out, she didn't need to respond to that. She doesn't need to do that. And he cautioned Nils not to badger any more people because that's intimidation, and that is a Brown Act violation. We'll talk about how much it's going to cost, and his constant harping on put your money where your mouth is. We'll get into that after a couple more clips.
All right. Whew, that was
That should make everyone very upset.
Yeah.
Because it's behavior like this from these people that discourages people from going and speaking up. And that is the 3 minutes of time. They get to sit up there and talk forever. I mean, after everyone had gone through their comments, it's like we had to hear another long lecture from Nils and then an even longer lecture from Todd. It's like, but we get 3 minutes. And it's very disrespectful to have a council person speak to any member of the community in that way. They're here as our public servants, not here to badger or disrespect. It was
Residents.
so rude. And I do appreciate Mayor Jim Light basically telling him, no, we're not going to do that. Probably because he knows it's a violation of our rights and inappropriate.
So Pat Healy says council members Obagi and Nierenheim should have recused themselves on phase 2 due to conflicts of interest. So
Correct.
We'll definitely get into that. And we're going to get into the last one and then we'll have a fuller discussion. But we definitely want to applaud Miriam for how she stood up for the community and just told the truth.
This agenda item, and all but one opposed going to county. Tonight, I heard that in a case of a disaster, we would be much better off with our local fire department, and that's a benefit money can't buy. The Citygate study has concluded, and based on the results, without doubt, there's no financial benefit or service benefit to going to LA County. Councilperson Kalujerovich rightfully made the motion to conclude any further discussions around this topic at the April 16 meeting in an effort to move on and address the many other issues plaguing the city. She did not get a second to her motion. And it appeared the reason she didn't get that second motion was so that the fire union had an opportunity to review the results, and that would ultimately help them in their negotiations. That's fine. I'm all for people getting the data they need, because people have a right to information so they can bargain a fair and reasonable contract. But once they received their data that night, we could and should have put this issue to bed. Instead, people have to come here again, people feel stressed, and we just want this done. So now I'm hearing we likely will not have enough money in our city budget to give our fire department everything they would want. As a matter of fact, it sounds like most of our employees need raises, but our city cannot afford it. I would like to point out that this is a direct result due to lack of revenue. I heard Councilperson Obagi a few months ago state that we have record revenues, but though that may be true, you're correct, we also have record expenses. So I might have $1 million and I might have that money in the bank, but if I owe $1 million, I have $0. So my point is that if we're barely making it as a city, we don't have funds to pay our employees. This is important when various unions look to support certain candidates. If you're going to support a candidate who does not support businesses, that results in revenue. This is a direct result. It's a lack of revenue resources to pay. So we all need to think about this as we think about who we want to support in the future. If we want more money and we want more resources, we can't support anti-growth or slow growth leadership. We all should seriously vote for leadership that will support improving our city's financial fitness. Don't let Nils fool you with this PowerPoint. It shouldn't fall upon the residents to have to pay so that certain community members keep their part of the city quiet and quaint.
That was just great. And then one of the points that Miriam made was that during that meeting, it was brought up that coverage from county was very thin when it came to a regional type disaster, because they would have to go other places, and basically they just wouldn't be able to protect Redondo. And I thought about that, because there was a big apartment fire in Lomita, near Rolling Hills about 3 months ago. And other agencies had to come. That was a county fire response there. It was not managed great, and it stripped away a lot of protections from torrents and other places. And that's where the problems happen. You get these regional things, and suddenly things are going on all over the place, and we're left without any protection. So it was a really salient point that she brought up right then during the meeting. And I'd say I was in the audience right behind a few people, and everyone was nodding their head. There was a very interesting dynamic in the audience. You could feel the venom toward the council. There was a lot of older people and residents that were just, as Miriam said, we're pretty tired of coming down there and having to tell them to say, no, we don't want this. And we've said it over and over again, even had elections about it. So, it's just a good point. And it goes into the conversation of, we need council people that listen to the people. They need to be responsive to the constituency. And we really don't need any more of this consternation, because it was a lot of work. And God knows what they would have done had not all those people showed up. They may have just said, fine, no one's here, so let's just go ahead and go with county, so we can spend more money in the harbor, or some God knows what reason. So I'm just really glad that people like Miriam's get up and speak. And Vicki Etzel, again, there's a number of other people who got up, several actually, at both nights. This happened in April too. So it's just great to see, and I really thank you, Miriam.
Yeah, and I just want to say too, it wasn't just the people that showed up to speak. There was a lot of comments.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people in this community, they have family, they have work, they have so many things. They don't have time to go to a council meeting. And that is just, especially look at how they treat people. You saw what Nil said to Vicky, so rude. So people submitted comments. There were 77 comments that were submitted. I think only one of them opposed going to county. Everyone, was pro going to county. Everyone else opposed it. So that was really strong. And people might be asking, hey, isn't this done? Isn't this over? Why are these people dragging this up again and talking about this again? We're talking about it again, guys, because it's not over. Sure, we dodged the bullet that night, but essentially they're going to continue looking at it. They're going to send it to various committees to continue discussing and talking about it. At any point, this could come up again. This is something that is within the council's purview to decide if we want to keep our fire department or outsource. And it's not like this was the end of it. At any point, this could come up again. And that's why we want to continue to educate the community. And we want to stay on top of this, because this is something that's very important. And it affects every single person, no matter what part of the city you live in. It's not over.
Yeah.
And the unfortunate part about this too is what has come out of their mouth on several occasions is, well, the people voted, they spoke, let's move on. But when the people speak and it's not what they want, they continue to bring it up. So it is important to recognize, if you have a vested interest and you want to keep the fire department here or anything else, you do have to stay tuned in, because the minute they feel like you're not looking, they will try to pull the wool over your eyes again. Pat Healy made a great point. The Redondo Beach Fire Department took decades to construct. It took decades to neglect, and it will take decades to restore. But the work has to be done, and we need revenue. And we cannot have any revenue if these people keep blocking everything, every opportunity to build something new here. It just will never happen.
So that's why it comes down to us voters. You always hear that. It's all about voting. It's so true. This is the perfect example. We have to vote for people that are looking at the best interest of Redondo. One of the reasons why people elected Paige Kalujerovich is because she's not beholden to any groups. She's not beholden to anyone. She's an independent thinker. She does what her community members ask her to do. She holds monthly or twice monthly even community meetings. She listens, and then that's who she's representing. And I think that is we need more people like that. We need people that are not beholden to any of these groups, because and then if you are a group and you do want to support a candidate, think about who you're supporting. If you're supporting somebody who is anti-growth, not business friendly, wants to keep a small little quaint beach town that's running us into the ground financially, then this is what we're going to get. We're going to continue to have to pay bond measures, bonds for the school, bonds for the fire department, bonds for this thing and that thing. Paul, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I was just to that. It's just to note that the current councilwoman, she beat her opponent, and her opponent had the endorsement of the fire union and a lot of support. They went out and walked for her. So they don't always bet on the right candidate. And again, I think all our public safety agencies should just stay out of it. And yeah, our fire department's over 100 years old. We love it. We want to keep it, and we're going to keep it. We'll make all the moves that we got to do. But that's almost it. We don't have to say that again and again to the council. And I think there's another clip coming up of Councilman Narenheim alluding to that.
I did want to say, though, and to be clear, again, it's interesting how Councilman Narenheim is a very big part of blocking growth here. And then he wants to say in a meeting, how much are you willing to pay in your tax dollars?
Yeah.
How much money are you willing to fork out? He doesn't even own a home here. So he's making decisions that affect the pocketbooks of homeowners in this city in which he never has to pay.
Yes.
I think it's so hypocritical. And for someone that got elected by the people, he's never looking out for the people. He is always looking out for himself. And we have to stop voting for people like that, because this is how we wind up in these situations. Actually,
Yeah.
I went ahead and deleted his clip. I think I'm
That's fine.
done with him.
And that's fine, because he went on to constantly just ask people, put your money where your mouth is, which is an outrageous thing for a council person to tell
So
a constituent. But and exactly, he won't be doing that because he doesn't pay property taxes. He lives in a trust fund house. I don't even know if he pays rent. So it's kind of outrageous that he did that. And yeah, he made a big deal about being paid by the fire department. He is an employee of that agency. It really doesn't matter if he's a lifeguard or he cleans toilets. You're paid by that agency, and he was using his position as council member to look into furthering, that agency and getting, putting that he's advocating for them. That is just a direct breach of trust with the public. So he should have recused himself. That was an ethical breach that just was so glaring, and he only made it worse as he kept on saying that, look, I'm just the lifeguard. It doesn't matter. You are paid by that agency and you're advocating for that agency. If only there was a lawyer on council to tell him that.
All interesting stuff. Well, we don't want to keep you guys too long, but definitely wanted to give you a debrief about what took place and also what to look out for. Paul, what do you think is next? What do you think the big issue is that residents will have to be on the lookout for next?
Yeah, and what's coming is a big bill. We do need to take care of our fire department, and the bills come due. I wish we addressed this 6 years ago after the first study said, well, it doesn't look good to go to county. We need to start talking about a bond issue to repair our fire stations and just update things. Remember, bond money can't be used for wages, but we can do all the infrastructure needs. But we need to do that now. I think the community should support the bond. We haven't seen it yet. We don't know what total will it be. It won't be an immense amount of money to homeowners, but it'd be well worth it. And it'll probably tie in a few other things other than the fire department. We just haven't seen it materialize yet. I can tell you that probably everyone that's running for office in the upcoming election will support that bond, because it'd be crazy not to. But we'll see. And we'll just have to see when they do present it, if it's just going to be for firefighters or if it's going to involve our police department and some other facilities. We don't know. I'm a homeowner. I will support that bond. Unfortunately, we probably have two other bond issues coming at the same time, with the school district and the Beach Cities Health District. I know all these things improve our community. They make great schools, make great communities, strong fire departments, make our field feel great. And the Beach Cities Health District serves the region and serves the community and serves me. I get all my health care there. So I'll support all those things that are coming.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Miriam, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
I 100% agree. The fact that we do have a local fire department, a local police department, our own dispatch, and our own wonderful school district, we're Redondo Beach Unified School District. This is why the city is so great. This is why people move here, and this is why people pay exorbitant prices for homes and in rent, because literally of these, you know, these organizations that we have within our city that we have complete local control over. And I think we need to just keep it. I think we really need to just keep paying attention to what's going on and really think about who you're voting for and what they're representing, because we do have elections coming up soon and we have to elect the right people so that our city can continue to improve and not fall backwards, because we are in a bad financial situation and the only way to get out of it is to increase sales tax or revenue. I should say sales tax revenue.
Yeah, revenues come from a lot of so we get it, and a lot of improvements to the city will result in revenue, like the Legato project was going to result in revenue to the city that we desperately need. So hopefully that gets finished soon and gets online. One thing I want to say is that there is a way we can prevent all this consternation coming back to us, and that is by making a charter amendment. And there's going to be a number of charter amendments on the ballot in the next election in March 2025. And we can do this. We can put in a charter amendment where it requires a vote of the people to allow any changes to any of our public safety agencies before the council even discusses it. So we don't have to do this again until the people say, yeah, we need to make a change. So I would support any candidate that wants that charter amendment, because that's what we've been fighting for. And this is why we do this every 5, 10, 15 years. We have to go back and say, no, we want to keep our fire department local, because for some reason, council members don't listen to the constituents and think it's some idea that I don't know where that comes from. I mean, actually, no one's really figured out the origin of this other than it came from the council and it came from the mayor. It did not come from the community. No one ever said, hey, let's get rid of our fire department.
Nobody.
It never happened. So we need to really put a guardrail in here, and a charter amendment would be a very strong message to say, just don't even go there, guys. Don't even talk about it.
Yeah.
Good call. That's a good
But
call.
that also would make them realize we're not getting rid of them. So you need to do what needs to be done in order to keep them
Correct.
taken care of, facilities taken care of, and them paid well.
Correct.
All right, guys. Well, we do have some really cool guests coming up soon. So make sure you subscribe and stay connected, and we will see you guys soon.
All right.
Thanks for being
everybody.
here.
Bye, everyone.
Take care.